close your eyes and forget everything modern movies have taught you about medieval assassins. There were no black robes, no hidden blades, and no impossible rooftop escapes. The real medieval world was far darker. Disease, famine, war, and fear shaped everyday life. In that brutal world, survival depended on silence, patience, and remaining invisible. To understand the medieval assassin, we must first understand the dangerous world that created him. Imagine a small medieval town before sunrise. The streets are silent except for distant church bells and the sound of horses crossing muddy roads. Farmers prepare for another day of hard labour, while merchants slowly open their wooden stalls. Everything appears peaceful, yet somewhere in the crowd, an ordinary man watches without drawing attention. He carries no royal banner and wears no expensive armour. His greatest weapon is that few people would have recognized a medieval assassin by appearance alone. He looked like a merchant, a traveller, a monk, or even a humble servant. His clothes were simple, his voice was calm, and his movements attracted no attention. Blending into everyday life was his greatest skill. A man remembered by everyone was already a dead man. In a world ruled by suspicion, the safest place to hide was often in the middle of a crowded street. Power in medieval Europe was fragile. A king could lose his throne through betrayal. A noble could disappear after a single secret meeting, and a wealthy merchant could become the victim of political revenge. Open battles were costly, but one silent death could change the future of an entire kingdom. For ambitious rulers, secrecy was often more valuable than thousands of soldiers. Hidden missions became powerful weapons in the struggle for wealth, influence, and survival. Before accepting any mission, an assassin rarely acted without preparation. He studied every detail of his target's daily routine. When did the noble leave the castle? Which road did he travel? Who guarded him? Where did he pray? Every habit was carefully observed for days or even weeks. Patience was more important than courage, because one careless mistake could expose months of planning and lead to a slow, painful execution. Unlike the legends told in modern stories, most medieval assassins did not rely on extraordinary weapons. A simple dagger, a short sword, or even poison could be enough. The real weapon was perfect timing. They waited until guards looked away, crowds became larger, or darkness covered the streets. A successful mission was not won by strength, but by choosing the one moment when no one expected danger. Yet every mission carried enormous risks. If an assassin was captured, there was little hope of mercy. Torture was used to uncover names, employers, and hidden secrets. Public executions were designed to frighten anyone who dared challenge those in power. For many, accepting a secret mission meant accepting the possibility that they would never return. In the medieval world, silence could bring fortune, but a single mistake almost always ended in death. Not every assassin worked for a king. Some served powerful nobles, wealthy merchants, or influential religious leaders. Others accepted dangerous tasks simply to escape poverty or repay impossible debts. Loyalty often lasted only as long as the payment. In a world where trust was rare, money, survival, and political ambition frequently outweighed friendship or honor. Every assignment carried hidden dangers that could change a person's fate forever. Even after weeks of careful planning, success was never guaranteed. Weather could change without warning, guards could alter their routines, or an unexpected visitor could ruin everything. A single barking dog, a suspicious soldier, or an unlocked gate could mean the difference between escape and capture. The medieval assassin understood one harsh truth above all else. No plan survived reality exactly as expected, and every mission demanded absolute patience until the very last moment. Every successful mission began long before the target appeared. Secret messages were delivered through trusted couriers, safe houses were prepared along escape routes, and disguises were carefully chosen. An assassin could not rely on luck. Every step was planned in advance, because once the mission began, there was rarely a second chance. Careful preparation often determined whether a man returned home or vanished forever. As darkness settled over the kingdom, the streets slowly became quiet. Torches flickered beside castle walls, while guards watched the gates through the cold night. Somewhere beyond the reach of the firelight, a lone figure waited patiently in silence. His heart remained calm, His eyes never left the entrance, and every passing moment brought him closer to the mission that could change the fate of powerful men forever. The man waiting in the shadows was not driven by hatred. He had been given a task, and failure was not an option. Every sound mattered: the footsteps of a guard, the creak of a wooden gate, even the wind moving through the trees. He remained completely still, knowing that patience was often more powerful than any weapon. One careless movement could destroy weeks of careful preparation. At last, the target appeared, surrounded by guards carrying torches through the narrow street. The assassin did not rush forward. Instead, he watched every movement, waiting for the perfect opportunity. A crowded corner, a moment of distraction, or a brief gap in the guard's formation could decide everything. In the medieval world, victory belonged not to the strongest man, but to the one who knew exactly when to act. The opportunity finally arrived. As the guards paused to speak with a messenger, the formation around the noble weakened for only a few seconds. It was the moment the assassin had waited for through days of careful observation. Every breath slowed, every movement became precise, and every decision carried the weight of life or death. There would be no second chance. Once he stepped forward, history itself could change forever. But medieval missions rarely unfolded exactly as planned. Just as the assassin prepared to act, an unexpected rider entered the street, forcing the guards to change their positions. The perfect opportunity disappeared in an instant. Rather than risking everything, he quietly blended back into the crowd. A true assassin understood that patience was not weakness. Sometimes the greatest victory was walking away and waiting for a better moment. The assassin withdrew into the darkness without leaving a single trace behind. No witness remembered his face, and no guard realized how close danger had come. In his world, surviving was more important than completing a mission too soon. Every failed attempt became another lesson. He knew that time was often his greatest ally, and that the next opportunity might arrive when everyone believed the threat had already disappeared. While the city slept, the assassin quietly reviewed every detail of the failed attempt. He noticed the changing guard shifts, the unexpected arrival of the messenger, and the new patrol routes around the castle. Nothing was ignored. Every observation increased his chances of success. In medieval Europe, victory rarely belonged to the strongest warrior. It belonged to the patient mind that learned from every mistake and adapted before striking again. The following evening, the city celebrated a religious festival. Music echoed through the streets, merchants welcomed crowds, and guards relaxed as the growing celebration distracted their attention. Hidden beneath an ordinary traveler's cloak, the assassin quietly entered the city once again. He smiled, greeted strangers, and blended naturally into the crowd. No one suspected that among hundreds of innocent faces walked a man carrying a mission capable of changing the fate of a kingdom. The target believed he was completely safe. Surrounded by loyal guards and respected by powerful allies, he had no reason to fear the ordinary people around him. Yet history has often shown that the greatest threats arrive without warning. As the noble moved through the crowded streets, the assassin followed from a careful distance, never rushing, never drawing attention. The perfect moment was finally beginning to reveal itself. The crowd grew louder with every passing moment. Musicians played, children laughed, and traders called out to passing travelers. Hidden within the celebration, the assassin moved with complete confidence. Every step had been planned long before this day. His eyes remained fixed on the target, waiting for the exact instant when the guards became distracted. In a single heartbeat, years of political rivalry and weeks of careful preparation were about to reach their final conclusion. Then, without warning, everything changed. A frightened horse broke free from its handler and charged through the crowded street. People screamed and scattered in every direction. Guards rushed to protect the noble, while panic spread across the marketplace. For a brief moment, order completely disappeared. The assassin recognized what few others could see. Chaos had created the perfect opportunity, and the fate of the kingdom now rested on a decision that would be made within seconds. The assassin did not rush. While frightened citizens fled in panic, he moved with calm precision. Every distraction had created a narrow path toward his target. His breathing remained steady, his hands never trembled, and his eyes ignored the chaos surrounding him. Years of discipline had prepared him for this single moment, where one careful decision could alter the balance of power across an entire kingdom. Just as the noble turned to calm the terrified crowd, the assassin stepped forward. His movement was swift, silent, and almost impossible to notice among the confusion. Before the guards understood what had happened, the attacker had already disappeared into the sea of frightened people. No victory cry echoed through the streets. Only confusion, fear, and unanswered questions remained behind. Although the attack lasted only a few seconds, its consequences would be remembered for generations. The marketplace fell silent as guards surrounded the wounded noble, searching desperately for the mysterious attacker. Every gate was sealed, every traveller questioned, and every nearby village warned. Yet the assassin had already vanished, leaving behind nothing but fear, uncertainty, and the realization that even the most powerful men were never truly beyond reach. For the ruling court, the assassination was more than the death of a single noble. It threatened the stability of the entire kingdom. Rumors spread faster than official announcements. Some believed a rival lord had ordered the attack. Others blamed foreign enemies or secret religious groups. With no clear answers, suspicion poisoned every political alliance. Friends became enemies overnight, and trust became one of the rarest treasures in medieval Europe. The assassin knew the city would never be safe again. Every gate was guarded, every road was watched, and every stranger became a suspect. Rather than fleeing in panic, he followed the escape plan prepared long before the mission had begun. Traveling through forests, abandoned trails, and forgotten villages, he slowly disappeared beyond the kingdom's borders. Behind him, fear continued to spread, while ahead of him waited another life lived entirely in the shadows. Weeks passed, yet no one could identify the mysterious killer. Royal investigators questioned merchants, monks, soldiers, and travelers, but every trail ended in silence. Rumors grew stronger with each passing day. Some believed the assassin had escaped to another kingdom, while others claimed he had never existed at all. In the medieval world, uncertainty often became more powerful than the truth itself, leaving rulers to fear an enemy they could neither see nor capture. The true reality of the medieval assassin was never about glory, adventure, or heroic legends. It was a life built on secrecy, patience, fear, and the constant possibility of death. History rarely remembers these hidden figures, yet their actions quietly shaped the fate of kingdoms and changed the course of countless lives. If you enjoy discovering the forgotten stories history left behind, subscribe to Pund Midnight History Files and join us for more dark historical mysteries. Until next time, remember, history is often darker than fiction.